launcher. Garage in the building. Your boy Frost over here. Let's just get greasy. Let's get it. Let's go. What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you can, just hit the subscription button. Just hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of the content when I release it. It really helped me out a lot. I really appreciate you guys for joining. Today in this video, what I'm going to be shooting, I'm going to be showing you guys a procedure how to assemble the short block of a 6.2 liter Hellcat / Trackhawk. The blocks are generally the same in the Trackhawk Hellcat platform. And so I'm going to show you guys how to assemble the bare block from short block. So this is nothing inside the block. Just got the block back from the machine shop. So this is where you're going to want to start. You don't want to miss any of the content, any of the footage that I'm about to show you. If you haven't done a Hellcat build or an engine build, this is the video for you. After this video, you should be able to feel a lot more confident in your engine build, and you should be able to, you know, take on such a task by yourself with the right tools. All right. So let's just go ahead, show you the procedure, how to get that done. Before you get that done, though, you should already have all your stuff, like your pistons, your con rods, all that stuff already assembled. If you haven't, just go ahead and check out the previous video I released on how to properly file your compression rings and how to, you know, fit them, gap them, phase them, and orient them on the piston and get them ready for the block. So at this point, I'm going to go show you how to do that. So let's just get greasy. All right, so here we are. We got right now what you're seeing on your screen is the bottom end of the engine. This has no bearings, no pistons, no hardware, no bolts, no gallery plugs, nothing. I'm gonna be walking you through the entire procedure, how to put it together. That way, like I said, you can feel confident in doing your own engine build at home with the right tools. So first thing you want to do is get in your oil jets. I've seen this mistake made a lot. I'm ashamed to say that I have made the mistake of not putting the oil jets back, only because I figured that when you get the engine back from the machinist, they already put the oil jets back in for you. But, you know, from, you know, experience, I removed the oil jets preliminary before taking the block to the machinist. That way I could keep track of what's missing and what needs to go in there. So here's your number one oil jet. This is what it looks like. This is an oil jet or cylinder oil squirter, piston oil jet. There's many terms for it, but this is what it is. This is what it looks like. It's mainly just a valve with 2 ports, and what it does with driven clearance pressure, it shoots oil into the cylinders, acts as a cooling agent. So you want to take it, you want to get it down in the block just like that. And then when you get it down in there, I'm going to zoom in there for you. There you go. Get it down in there for you. That one. So you got a clear shot. So it sits in the block just like so. Then you're going to take your 10mm bolt and just run it down 89 inch-pounds. No more, no less. So you're going to repeat these steps for the other 3, as there are a total of 4 oil jets. They consist of 2 squirters for each cylinder. So you're just going to run down the 10mm like that, and then we're going to torque it to 89 inch. So you just want to run it down hand tight first. It's just how I like to do them. You want to take your time when building the engine. You want to treat everything like it's a race engine. you want to be sure to, take your time. So got my torque wrench set to 89 inch-pounds. I'm using the Snap-on A-Tech torque wrench. You don't have to have such a nice torque wrench. Any other torque wrench will do as long as it's properly calibrated. So here we go. And just like that, actually on 90, but that's fine. As long as you're within the target range, you should be good. So I'm going to repeat the steps for the other 3 quick. I'm just going to run them down. Get your hands, hand tight. 89 inch-pounds or 8 foot-pounds per the instructions. So I'm going to go 8 foot-pounds or 89, like I said. Whichever you prefer. It really doesn't, it's not that big of a deal. And there you have it. So that's good. 8 foot-pounds on all the jets. And that's that for the jets. Please hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content when I release it. Also, hit the like button if you appreciate the videos and this video as well. Subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Thank you so much. What I'm gonna do is just explain how to put in your oil galley plugs real quick. I was scrubbing online trying to figure out where I could find any type of video that actually shows the procedure. Couldn't find any. I'm not sure if I wasn't searching the right thing in the search bar. I don't know. Maybe I was just, doing something wrong. But I couldn't find any videos. So I took the initiative to walk you guys through the procedure. I went ahead and already put them in, but it's pretty simple. You could do it at home with the right tools. What you're gonna need is some hex feature Allen wrenches, and that's pretty much what's gonna do the job for you. You're gonna use the Allen wrenches with the socket style. So I'm gonna go over here, grab one of them, show you real quick. This is what it looks like. Allen wrench with a socket and also a torque wrench. I have a really nice torque wrench, so don't mind me. Any torque wrench, as long as it's good calibration, it will work properly. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna put some shellac on it if you don't have the Loctite PFE pipe fitting, and the shellac looks like this. So you're also gonna need the shellac. This is what it looks like. This is what I use. You can use Loctite PFE. You can use a bunch of other good products by Permatech, but this is what I use by Permatech. This is what I had laying around the shop. It's really strong, old school stuff, so that's what I'm using. Anyway, you're gonna coat the threads with this stuff, nice and thin layer. You're not gonna go too much on it. And what you're gonna do, you're gonna run it down finger tight. Then you're gonna set your torque wrench to 20 Newton meters or 177 inch-pounds. And you're gonna torque them down until they're done. And that's pretty much it. They go in this hole here. There's 4 of them on the Gen 3. One here, and at the back, you can't miss them. They only go one place. Then there's a little one, a 1/4 inch. It's like a boost port, I guess you could say. You could use it to tap off coolant passages, oil passages. However, it's the tiniest one of the bunch. You can't miss it. It only goes one place. You're gonna put it in the back, put the shellac on it, or whatever sealant you're using by Permatech. You're gonna torque it down again at 20 Newton meters, 177 foot-pounds. Now I'm gonna take you around the block just so you can get a good visual of what I'm talking about. So right here, I'm gonna zoom in on it. You can see one that I got over there already. This one here. So what you're gonna do, like I said, on the threaded portion, Just coat it with some of that sealant, torque it down, 20 Newton meters, 177 inch-pounds. The other one goes in here. It's a little bit deeper, a little harder to see, but it's in there. Same procedure. There it is right there. Boom. You can see that. Perfect. So at the back, it's gonna be pretty similar. Like I said, there's the small one right down there. And you see that. Focus. There you go. That one, 20 Newton meters. And then right in these holes up here, that's where the rest of them go. You can't miss it. So that's how you do it. So when you're installing your rear camshaft plug, what you want to do, just zoom in there for you. What you want to do, get your plug, yeah. It's going to look like this. There's your rear cam plug. That's what it looks like. And then I like to just get a socket that fits the plug, because you're gonna install the plug like that. So you kind of want something that will sit flush on the whole plug itself, right? So what we're gonna do is put the plug in here, and the idea is just get it nice and seated, just like that, and then get the socket over it, just like that, and drive it in with a hammer, just like that. So I'm gonna do that real quick, knock it in fast, and then move on. Just make sure everything is clean before you put it in. You don't need any oil or lubrication or anything right here. So I just like to clean the rear bearing and then get everything cool. See, look at all that dirt that came off of there. So it's always good to just clean everything, you know what I mean, as best as you can, and then we'll just drive it right in right now. Yeah, so I took a little bit of finessing. Just square it up in there. And you can almost hear when you hit the solid portion of the block. So that looks pretty neat to me. Good to go right there. Here, check it out. Take it nice and so you can see that little lip that I have right here. You can see that portion. Get you a little closer. There you go. You can see how it's nice and seated against the rear of the block. So you want that up in there as well. So that's that for that. We're gonna let that just sit there and do its thing. Now we're gonna go ahead, flip the block right side up, and then, well, upside down, and then put the main bearings in and check our clearances on the crank. Here are the main caps. I'm using ARP 2000 bolts, main stud kit. You can go ahead. I think I have the part number right here somewhere. And you can go ahead and get this one. So here it is. This one is by ARP. I'll take you over here to the light. This one's by ARP. And the kit number is right there. There it is. Boom. If you're looking for some bolts for the bottom end of your Gen 3, let's go to the block. So here's the motor just sitting, bare block. This is what we called the short block of the engine. It is bare, besides the injector, the jets, the oil jets that I already put in. They're down there. There you go. So it's pretty bare. This is what you're gonna get back from the machine shop, all spec'd out, blueprinted, and ready to go. So at this point, I've already did my oil galley plugs. You can see down in there. Put them down in the oil galleries. You torque them down to 20 Newton meters. And that's for the front pair and also the back pair back here. Let me shed some light here. There you go. So put some shellac on them, or you can put some Permatech and torque them down. This one also gets 20 Newton meters or 177 inch-pounds, all right? Now that we got those out the way, now we're gonna go over to the bench and get the bearings sorted out. So I'm using the ACL race bearings. This is what got sent to me from MMX when we ordered the bearings. I'm using standard bearings. This should work out perfect for the boosted application. It's not a problem. You can run the stock Mopar brand. That works fine too, but we opted in to get the ACLs just for a little bit more peace of mind. All right. When they come out the box, this is what the ACLs look like. So do not mix them up, okay? You've got this one that's got the ridge in it. I'm gonna zoom in so you can see that. That got the groove in it. That one is for your upper main bearings, your upper crankshaft main journal. This one sits down into the main cap. This is the main cap bearing that closes and houses the crankshaft, all right? So you're gonna want those separate. Also, you're gonna have to pick yourself up your own set of thrust washers. The bearing set from ACL does not come complete with the thrust washers, all right? So that's how you differentiate. We also are gonna need some plastic gauge. I have a bunch of them. Here's what you're gonna need to measure about 15 thousandths of an inch, because that's the clearance that we want between this point of the bearing and the crankshaft that actually sits in here, right? So now you want to make sure the bearings are clean as they come from the factory. They have a special coat on them, as far as I know, that keeps the bearing from rusting while it's on the shelf. So I'm not saying take the coat off. What I'm saying is clean the bearings with a microfiber. It can't hurt, right? Make sure everything is nice and clean, because when I lay the plastic gauge down, I don't want to have any type of residue from any type of dirt or foreign material sitting in between the bearing and the crank. I want to be able to get a nice accurate measurement, so just make sure everything's nice and clean. So here we are on the blocks turned upside down. What you're gonna do is you grab each bearing, and you're gonna see that it has a notch on it just like that. This little tang right here, this is gonna go lined up with the tang inside the block. So I'm gonna take you down there and you'll see that said tang reception. So this is where you're gonna line it up just like that. So you're gonna go like that, and you see how the tangs line up? You're just gonna press it down in there. Just like that. Make sure it's all flush, that both the sides are even right there, and then you'll be straight. So I'm just gonna go ahead, lay all those down in there real quick. So here we got all the bearings installed. So make sure everything sits nice and flush. You can see that they're very flush. All the edges are nice and straight. There's no lips on either side, all right? So make sure you get that just nice and neat like that. For now, we're gonna install them dry. Not gonna put any oil on them. Now we're gonna put the crankshaft gently down in there. Then we're gonna lay down some plastic gauge on the crankshaft journals, on the main journals. Then we're gonna lock them down with the main cap. So before you put in your crankshaft, make sure your crankshaft journals are super clean. I can't stress that enough. No dirty journals, no dirty fillets or counterweights. Make sure everything is super clean. You gotta make certain. Then you don't want your measurements to be off point. So you're gonna gently come in with the crank and just set her down in there, nice and easy. Nice and easy. Just like that. Make sure you have some clean gloves on. Don't want to touch any of the journals with your bare hands. Leave any gassy particles on the bearings. So now what I'm gonna do is cut some very tiny pieces of plastic gauge and this is pretty much what the plastic gauge looks like. You get it at your local auto parts store. I'm using this one, 25 to 76 millimeters, or in the thousandths of an inch. I'm using 0.1 to 0.3 thousandths of an inch, or target clearance is 15 thousandths of an inch. So that's 0.0015, which is going to be that one right there. 0.0015 is your target. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just cut little pieces of these and just lay them across the journal faces like so and like so. So I'm going to cut the first piece right here. And be sure to, I'm going to cut, be generous. Oops, dropped it. Butterfingers. Anyway, make sure it's nice and clean. We'll cut a little piece just like this. See how tiny that is? And I'm just gonna lay it across the face of the journal. So here's my first one. Just, I'll put it right there. I don't want it to go over the hole. So just so I could get a good reading from each side of the bearing when it sits there. So I'm gonna zoom in on that so you can see what it looks like down there. See how it just lays there? So I'm gonna do all the journals like that. This one, and then that one, and also that one. All right, so let's go. We've got our plastic gauge down. Now what we wanna do is get the upper part of the bearings into the main journal caps and get it just like that. See how easy that is? Make sure it's nice and flush, no lips or tangs. We're just gonna set it, get your number one. Make sure you got your locating arrow facing of the engine forward that way, number one. And you'll see it on the block itself, right here. It says number one. There it is. So you wanna start right there. We're going to start with the first main bearing cap. Install them dry, because then we want to be able to get a reading on the bearing itself, right? I'm going to knock it down in there. Nice and easy. Put a little of that hammer. Get it down. A little tight, but that's okay. There you go. So that's nicely seated. I'm just gonna do the rest. I'll do one more for you. Get your number two. Get your bearing. Number two. Flip it right side up. There's your notch. Okay, put your notch right there. And then you just slide it in just like that. Make sure it's seated. Good. Do not rotate the crank. Just gonna set it down in here. Just like that. Just like that. Give it a little love tap with the hammer. I like to give it love taps. There we go. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Yeah. At this point, what we're gonna want to do is torque everything to 100 foot-pounds. Now, I like to torque in stages. I wouldn't recommend just going full on 100 first off. So I'm gonna start out at 40. Got my torque range set at 40 foot-pounds. So I'm gonna start off from the inward most portion, working my way outward. So I'm gonna start with this one. 40. And the idea is to get them evenly seated. That's why you'd want to torque them like this. You can almost feel the ARP turning in there. But that's why you install the ARPs hand tight and not tighten them fully. Some people do that, but I don't do that. Now we're gonna adjust to about 65. Cool. And you can see I got mine at the preset function. As my torque wrench actually comes with that setting. It's a Snap-on A-Tech torque wrench. Very good wrench. I'd recommend picking one up. They're pretty pricey, about 700 bucks, but it's worth it because they come with all single units of measurement for the vehicle. Okay, so now we're at 65. We're on 0. When the preset comes up to 10, I know I didn't skip a beat, didn't skip a bolt. I don't have to repeat. So let's do that again. Cool. So a little bit over, that's fine. At 66. Now we're gonna bump it up to 100. See, did 10 bolts. I bump it up to 100. I just like to do everything in steps. It only makes sense. That's a little too high. And boom, 100 foot-pounds. Let's repeat the same step. There, everything is torqued to 100 foot-pounds. The thing with ARPs is, a lot of people don't understand, you gotta let it sit for about 5 minutes because they get loose again. So let it sit about 5 minutes and then come back and check the torque again. Just to torque it at 100 foot-pounds, just to check it. And then we're gonna remove everything and check the clearance to see what the plastic gauge is doing. Cool, now 5 minutes has elapsed. Still gonna check it again for 100. Good. Good. These ones didn't seem to move, so that one moved. Just by here, not too much. It was like a 98. It takes a lot of clamping force. Cool. So verified that they're at 100. Now, gotta pull everything. This procedure, this step is really critical and important to the build. You want to make sure that you take the measurement. I know that some guys are going to say, hey, but it came back from the machine shop, it should be good. Never trust anyone else but yourself. It's not going to hurt to check the clearances. That way, if something is off, say for instance you got a journal that's off, that's within taper, you could catch that. You could go get that sorted at the machine shop. You can fix that before you spend the time, assemble the entire motor, put it in the vehicle, and then you got problems. So here's what we're doing. Here's the plastic gauge. What I'm trying to do is achieve a target of 15 thousandths of an inch. Let me just put that back in there. Cool. So 15 thousandths of an inch, which is gonna be this one right here. So it says 0.0015. That's the measurement that we are going for. The idea is the plastic gauge, when it was compressed from torquing the main caps, it's gonna spread out. Now, if there's too much clearance, it's gonna spread out, not so much actually, it's just not gonna move. And then if there's a little bit of clearance, in our case, it's gonna spread out. So what we wanna do is make sure that the spreading of the plastic gauge on the crankshaft journal face matches up within these lines, within that white shaded area right there at a 0.0015. So let's just go and measure it real quick. I'm gonna set it down there, then take you down with the camera so you can see what I'm seeing. So just gonna do it like that, and boom. Hopefully I can, yeah, there we go. Perfect, man. A little off. Almost had it. That will do. Okay, let me take you down in here so you can see what I'm seeing. So if you look closely, right there where it says 0.015, you can see how the plastic gauge spread out on the crank journal. You can see right there how it's all spread. You can also see that it's spread within the white area where it says 0.0015. That's how I know that my clearance is spot on. You can see it damn near matches. So that's beautiful. That's what we want along each journal. So now if I measure this one with the plastic gauge, it should say the very same thing. I should have a minimum clearance about 15 thousandths of an inch. It's kind of hard to, wait, see, there we go. We're at 0.015. Wait, and it literally just, you know, lines up right there. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but you get the idea. So that's what you want across each journal face. I'm just gonna make sure I got 15. So this proves many things, one of which is that I can trust my machinist. So that's good there. We do pay top dollars for the work. It was about $1,600 for the machining on this block. So stuff is pretty expensive. So yeah, I got 15 thousandths of an inch across the board. So that's beautiful. I like that. Perfect. We don't want to run too thick oil, because if you run too thick of an oil, then what's going to happen is you're going to starve the engine. You don't want to starve the engine. That's bad. You're going to spin all the bearings. You're going to overheat the bearings. Not good. All right. So that concludes the video on how to check the clearance on the crankshaft. Now I'm just going to clean everything up. You want to make sure you clean the journals thoroughly, clean the bearings thoroughly. Don't take the coating off. Just be nice and gentle, be easy, and then reassemble the crank. Torque it back to 100 foot-pounds. Don't forget your side bolt, your M6 bolts for the 10 millimeters that go in the side of the block, and you should be good with the crank. End result, this is what you want your crank journals to look like. Spotlessly clean. This is a Hellcat crank. This was sent to me by Modern Muscle Extreme. It is micro polished and forged, so it's gonna spin like butter. All right, make sure everything is clean. Okay, also make sure your crank reluctor wheel is nice and secure, so check the torque on that, make sure it's nice and solid. On the back of the bearings, this is the residue that's left over from the plastic gauge. No need to measure this, as you already measured the opposite end, but you want to clean up all this residue like we have here. You want it to look clean like that, no residue left. All right, so let's just go ahead, get this one and this one done. That's one, these ones are already finished. Then we're just gonna repeat the steps and put that back into there. We're gonna lubricate everything. We're gonna put down some Lucas assembly lube. That's what I like to use, Lucas. Let's put a nice little film. I'm gonna walk you through that quick and then get this thing going. Tools you're gonna need to install your crankshaft. You're gonna need some Lucas assembly lube. You're gonna need some red RTV silicone. This you're gonna use under the M6 bolts. You're gonna need a 14mm deep socket. You're gonna need a couple of Allen sockets right here. This is the measurement for the small ARP. This is the measurement for the bigger ARPs. You're gonna need a driver, a torque wrench, your ARP bolts. This is what we're using, as well as your assembly lube. We're using this kit, part number 2445400. That's for the Hemis, Gen 3s, 576162s. We're gonna be torquing the bigger bolts, the M12s. These are them, to 100 foot-pounds in 3 stages, and the M5, the M8 side bolts, which are these, to 25 foot-pounds. Now these are gonna get some red RTV underneath the washer area right here before we torque them down. All right, also we're gonna be lubricating them with the ARP assembly lube. So let's get the going, put everything together for the final time, and this will be it for the assembly of the crankshaft. Then we'll move on to the piston. Got our bearings down. Make sure that they are clean. A little bit of brake clean, some microfiber. Make sure these things are spotless. You want to treat the engine like it is a race application, because it is a race application. Do not want to, because of neglect, you ruin your expensive build. So prior to doing all this, make sure all your bolt holes are clean. Make sure all your ARPs are lubricated properly. You're gonna be lubricating the washers just a little bit. I just like to put a little dab. I don't like to get too messy all over the engine. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do, install the bearings. Secondly, get your thrust bearings coated in some of the assembly lube. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. I like to just get these good coated. They're gonna fit on the back just like so. Leave that off to the side there. I'm just gonna put it on here just like that. Just let it sit like that. And just grab the other one, which should be already clean. And you're just gonna do the same thing to this side. Just coat it real quick. It's nice little stream on there. It's good. And then just get this one right there. I usually like to slide them in after the crank, but I also like to just put everything in so I get a nice symmetric fit. I don't want the crank moving, jumping forward and backward too much. I want it to just sit nice and flush. So I'm just gonna take my time to rock it in. Now, just coat up the bearings a little bit. That should do it. That should do it. I love the Lucas. It just blends so well with the oil, and it doesn't leave the assembly too quickly like the oil drains down. If everything sits for a minute, this just stays right there, keeps everything lubricated, and it prevents dry startup. So really love this stuff. So just like that, I'm gonna coat the back of the bearings when I put the crank in. So we're just gonna grab the crank and nice and gently drop it in. Nice and easy. Just like that. Take your time. No need to rush. And just like that, I'm just gonna set it in there. Try not to rotate everything. Keep everything nice and flush. Now, I'm gonna grab my first bearing, load it up with some oil. Should be already clean like that. Just load it up with some of that lube and just put it down just like that. Just one little stripe, nothing too crazy. Make sure the number one's lined up with the number one. This is final assembly, ladies and gentlemen. So you want to make sure you're good there. You crank a couple nudges. Sure she's seated. Cool. So I'm just gonna run through this on the time lapse quick and get that done. Now that we got everything snugged down, buttoned up, just gonna tighten everything once again. Repeat that step when we first assemble it to get the measurement from the plastic gauge. I'm gonna torque to 40. I'm gonna go 45 foot-pounds right now. All right. Just do it quick. I just love when everything comes together so beautifully. I love that. When you work with products that you can trust, that makes the process go by so much better. I don't know if you could tell, but I have assembly lube, some assembly lube from ARP. Covered, lathered in the washer, so make sure you do that. So I'm gonna set it to, I went 45. I'm gonna go 70 foot-pounds. Good. 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 That's good. 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 So I'm gonna leave it at 70 for right now, just so I can install my side bolts and torque them down. So let's just make sure that our side bolts still want to go in without any problems. Beautiful. So now just gonna coat them up in the RTV and then finish off the main bolts with 100 foot-pounds.
Hey yo. Hey yo.
So there it is. They're all prepped. Notice I got the RTV on the base of the bolt, and I got the ARP assembly lube on the threaded portion. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get them installed in their respective cap bores, and just run them down, torque them to 25 foot-pounds. Let's do it both sides. And now, got those in. Let's just go do the other side quick. And that way we can get them clamped down evenly. Now we got them all started. You can see I didn't run them down all the way. Now we could just run them down with a machine nice and snug, and then we could go ahead and torque them. So just a little tip. Just want you to note what this looks like right here. If you can see how the RTV just literally spread off underneath the washer, that's kind of what we're aiming for. We want the RTV to look just like that. You can see how it's just spread off right there, right? That's what you want to see. See that? That's how you want it. You don't want it to look too dirty, because essentially what's happening here, as it torques down the main cap, it also traps in the oil. So the RTV is a form of gasket that traps the oil. So don't miss out on that step. Don't skip out on that step. Do them evenly. Take your time. You'll get it done. Now I'm gonna check the torque on the main bolts right here. Remember we had stopped at 70. Right now I'm gonna recheck them, make sure that they didn't move, and then I'm gonna proceed to torque in the side bolts at 25. So let's check for 70. I tell you, these ARPs, you always gotta check them and check them just to make sure. Okay, now I'm gonna bump it up to 100 and then torque these guys at 25. We're gonna torque the M8 side bolts to 25 foot-pounds. So drop torque here. I love this wrench. This is one of the best wrenches I'd say money could buy, to be honest. Okay, now we're at 25, so we're just gonna do each side together. Cool. We'll do the opposite side. Good. Start with the other. You want to take your time here, because you will snap these bolts if you go too much. So follow the instructions on the ARP kit. If you're using ARPs and it didn't come with some, you can always download it on the ARP's website. Just take your time. No need to rush the process. No need to rush. No need to rush. And finally, these two. Good. Now we're gonna recheck the mains at 100, and then we're done. Just quick. See, they like to get loose, gentlemen. I don't know why ARP's done that. Can't tell you how many times I do a pull in my Honda and I go just to, adjust my valves or whatever, and I go and I just check the ARPs, and some of them come loose, believe it or not, on their boost. So you just want to be thorough, just make sure you're checking. Really preserves the build and kind of boosts peace of mind as well. So there you have it. This thing should spin like butter. Look at that. With my bare hands spinning that thing. Just to get everything nice and seated. Sure you work it back and forth as well. Just to make sure it's nice and seated. So that's good there. No binding. We're good to go. So now we're done with the crank installation. Next video I'm gonna release is how to install the pistons onto the crankshaft, and so we can proceed with the hubcap build. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hit the like button, hit the subscription bell. Stay tuned for the rest of my videos. Peace.